Julian Lennon has never hidden the scars left by his turbulent relationship with his legendary father, John Lennon and Yoko Ono. Even decades later, his words still cut like glass, echoing the ache of a child who grew up in the shadow of fame and abandonment. Born in 1963 to John and Cynthia Lennon, Julian watched his family crumble just as the Beatles were taking over the world. As his father's fame exploded, their home began to fall apart. And by 1966, everything changed forever. The moment John met avant-garde artist Yoko Ono. That meeting lit a fuse that would soon destroy whatever innocence was left in Julian's world. 2 years later, the dream was over. Cynthia returned home from a family trip only to find Yoko in her place, a sight that would burn itself into Julian's memory for life. When John left for New York to start anew with Yoko, Julian was left behind, nothing more than a fading memory in his father's rearview mirror. Their conversations dwindled to nothing, replaced by years of painful silence. For a brief moment in 1973, during John's affair with May Pang, the ice seemed to thaw. Father and son played music together, shared laughter, and for the first time, Julian felt seen. But like everything in John's life, it was fleeting, gone as quickly as it came. Then came 1980, the night the world lost a legend. While millions mourned a prophet of peace and love, Julian faced a crueler truth. The man the world worshipped as a saint had been a stranger to his own child. In a blistering 1998 interview with The Telegraph, Julian spoke without restraint. "From where I stand, he was a hypocrite," he admitted. He could preach peace and love to millions, but never showed an ounce of it to the people who should have mattered most, his wife and his son. When asked if he blamed his father, his reply was raw and unforgiving. "Of course I do. If you bring a child into this world, planned or not, you make damn sure you take care of it." Even in John's lifetime, the bond between them remained cold and distant. "It was still icy," Julian once recalled. "I probably knew him as much as I know you. There were hugs sometimes, but the air was always thick with tension." John himself once acknowledged the painful difference between his two sons. Speaking of Sean, his child with Yoko, he said, "Sean was planned. That's the difference. I don't love Julian any less, but he belongs to another time, another version of me." He had promised that one day, he and Julian would start over, but death stole that chance. When his will was read, Julian's name was barely a footnote. Yoko controlled everything, and it took years of quiet legal battles before Julian received even a fraction of what should have been his. By 2009, the resentment still simmered. In a candid CBS interview, Julian admitted, "When Dad ran off and divorced Mum, I carried so much anger, so much bitterness. Even the forgiveness he had once spoken of was hollow. I used to say I'd forgiven him, but those were just words." It took another heartbreak for true healing to begin. When Julian lost his childhood friend Lucy Vauden, the girl who inspired Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, he poured his sorrow into a song called Lucy. In the process, he finally faced his past head-on. "That song helped me truly forgive him," Julian said softly. "I realized that if I kept clinging to the anger, I'd be living under a storm forever." It took a lifetime of silence, grief, and melody, but Julian Lennon finally turned pain into peace. Still, his story lingers as a haunting truth. Behind the legend of peace and love stood a man who left his firstborn son to learn forgiveness all alone.